And welcome back to the Cover 3 podcast here on CBS Sports. That's Tom Fornelli. That's Danny Cannell. I'm Chip Patterson coming to you live at youtube.com/cover3 and everywhere you get your podcasts on demand. Thanks for hanging out. Smash that subscribe. Smash that like and come and join us in the chat, a.k.a. the Cover 3 tailgate, where they're asking for the mock turtleneck. Listen, if Bud's going to go on IG giving monologues in the mock turtleneck, how's he going to not show up for the instant reaction show to the rankings, right? I mean, talked about it Saturday night, the Tiger Woods. So yeah, we'll check in with him Wednesday. Big game breakdown on the way. Yes, Ohio State holds at number 1. No surprises there. Texas Tech makes a move up. We've got Indiana checking in at 2, Texas A&M at 3, Alabama at 4, Georgia at 5, Texas Tech at 6. That's a big jump up. Ole Miss at 7, Oregon at 8, Notre Dame at 9, Texas at 10. Then, hello, Miami, number 15, which means that just because you're ahead of Georgia Tech, you're going to get the number 11 seed. But Danny Cannell, Miami's on the outside looking in of the ACC title race. This is misleading. I'm already upset. This is very misleading.
That's why I was just looking at the bracket, because I'm supposed to fill out a bracket after. And I guess that's how they get the nod in the bracket, because they're the highest ranked, even though they don't have.
This is confusing.
It's very
I don't
misleading.
like this at all.
I have a buddy of mine. He's a little bit flighty. And I guarantee he's going to be like, we made the playoffs. We're in. If we win, we were in. I'm like, oh, boy, here we go. Now they're going to have to do explainers and write this thing off. I should do winners, Miami, because they did jump up, and then losers because they're not in. I'm going to do that.
Yeah, there you go. No, we got the answers. 8:15 on CBS Sports HQ. We're locked and loaded. Tom Fornelli. It literally just finished going there as they did their playoff rankings reaction show. Now, further down in the bracket, South Florida does end up showing up after no group of 5 teams in the rankings last week. The South Florida Bulls up there at number 24. Iowa hangs in at number 21, down just 1 spot. That feels like a good sign for the Oregon Ducks in the Big Ten. And Cincinnati, which was off last week with all the mayhem, looks like they crept their way in. Tom, you could take the top of the rankings, bottom of the rankings. What stood out to you as we go live here at 7:18 p.m. Eastern time?
Oh, man, so many interesting things to talk about in these rankings. I'm so grateful to be here with you two to discuss them. I think that the one thing that really kind of caught me by surprise was the fact that Iowa did only drop a spot, because I figured the way things usually go, they were going to drop. Maybe like they would hang on at 25. I didn't think they would only drop a spot. I agree with it. I don't think that they played in a way that deemed them falling much further than that, especially when you look at the teams that are behind them in the rankings. So I liked that. I do think the primary takeaway here, I mean, other than the ridiculous order that they're put in because Miami gets the spot on the graphic, even though they probably can't win the ACC, is that the ACC is a 1-bid league. That is very much solidified in that Miami's the highest ranked, and it's at 15.
Yeah, and of the 5 most likely ACC championship game matchups, I don't think Miami's in any of them.
No.
I just want to point out, if they can close the gap between them and Notre Dame and get in the same pod where you're comparing resumes with Notre Dame, I think there's an outside shot. Now, I've said this since the minute they lost at Louisville, and that was before they lost to SMU. When they were a 1-loss team, I'm like, they still have a path. I still think it's there, however, much of a long shot, and what else they have is a common opponent. So they do have Pitt. Both of them play in Pittsburgh, common opponent. If Notre Dame, if they lost, then all of a sudden I do think Miami could potentially get in even cleaner. But if Notre Dame wins by 3, Miami wins by 2 touchdowns, which is not really in their blood. It's not really what they do. I think that could be something that could give Miami an outside chance of still getting in without the ACC title.
See, I honestly don't think Miami would win the comparison to Miami if they get into their pod.
Miami would win the comparison to.
Oh, see, Tom, You need to follow ACC football account, Tom, because they did a side-by-side resume, and I could read it off if you want.
No,
Because,
listen, I would put, if it was up to Miami and Notre Dame, I would put Miami in. I don't care about the resumes. I would put them in strictly off of the fact that Miami beat Notre Dame and the results have to matter. But my point is just that there's such a gap between them now, even though they bumped Miami up. Like, they don't consider Miami to be in the same neighborhood as Notre Dame, even though Miami beat Notre Dame. So unless Notre Dame loses, I don't think they're going to ever consider Miami's better than Notre Dame.
But Vanderbilt could lose.
Yeah, I'll keep that.
Like, there's
keep
all
that
the
graphic
schools
up.
in between
Let's play this game. Let's pick them off. All right. I think Miami can get to 11. 11's not high enough if they're not a conference champion.
Mm-hmm. But my point overall is that it's not just you remove the teams in front of them. It's that they're comparing all these teams to each other, and they've still got Notre Dame 6 spots ahead of Miami. They've already compared the two, and they said Notre Dame is 6 spots better.
So that was something, I think Chris Budden actually put this out, because the way the rankings work, they're so far apart now that they don't actually have them in the same pod, so they don't look at them even in the same. But as some of those other schools start getting pecked off, like if there's a pecking order, those schools lose, they will be in the same pod. And that's when I think the resume actually could help Miami make that big jump. You know what I mean?
But why isn't that resume making the jump now then?
It is. I mean, look
no,
at
it's not. It's the 15th. It moved up from 18th, but only because Virginia and Louisville lost.
No.
So,
but I mean, weren't they? All right, were they
referenced
behind?
the recency bias. I mean, the guy said Miami last week. Mac Rhodes said Miami isn't playing good lately, but they do have 3 more games. They could play good and all of a sudden look the part. And again, a lot of this is wild speculation because Miami needs to look good and they need to beat Pitt and they need to beat the teams on their schedule still. But I've tried to paint this picture before, and it's like it looks stupid now, so it might look stupid in 2 weeks. But I do think there is a path for Miami to potentially get there.
They need Notre Dame to lose. It's not the teams in front of them that they need to lose, although that helps. They need Notre Dame to lose. They need Texas to lose. They need Oklahoma to lose. They need Oregon to lose. They need BYU to lose. They need all of those teams to lose, and they have to keep winning.
I built a wish list for an ACC at large or a Big 12 at large. You ready to hear it?
Mm-hmm.
Notre Dame, any loss. Got to get Notre Dame out of there. Notre Dame is taking up an at-large spot in the field. You get them out, you increase the opportunity for a Miami. You increase the opportunity for a BYU or a Utah, right? So any kind of at-large for the Big 12 or the ACC, I think has to start with Notre Dame losing. Pitt Panthers, you're up. I think you also need, ready? This is still on the wish list, Ohio State over Michigan, Oregon over USC. That essentially eliminates the teams that could be knocking on the door to add to the Big Ten's haul of at-large bids to the college football playoff. Get Michigan out, you're getting USC out. Then, again, if you are a Big 12 or ACC at-large candidate, of which Utah, BYU, Miami are certainly in this conversation, you want an Alabama blowout win against Oklahoma, and you want Georgia to beat Texas. Then, in Week 14, you want Tennessee over Vanderbilt and Texas A&M over Texas. You want Texas to not even have we're the best 3. No, you need them out. You need them out of the paint, because if you are Miami, if you are Utah, the last thing you want is to have to fight that fight against Texas. Throw on the conspiracy theory hat, but they do have great record strength of schedule, all those pieces. You can sit there on Sunday in early December and make the arguments for a 3-loss Texas Longhorns team as the last team in. If you are Miami, if you are Utah, if you are BYU, you don't want to be there. You need them to have 4 losses. So again, Notre Dame, any loss. Ohio State over Michigan, Oregon over USC, Alabama blowout win over Oklahoma, Georgia over Texas, Tennessee over Vanderbilt, Texas A&M over Texas. It's not that hard. It's just like a 16 parlay. You hit that 16 parlay and then Miami's in.
Seen them hit before.
Yeah, come on. Am I wrong? Am I off base on this one? Does that make sense?
No, you're not.
Okay,
it does make sense, but they need all of that to happen. It can't just be they went out and then they're compared to Notre Dame and they get the edge over Notre Dame. it's clear that's not going to be the decision.
Texas and Oklahoma, if they get beat by 2 touchdowns or more, there's a chance Miami could jump both of them. That's all you need. Like, that's a big jump.
I don't know, man.
Shout out to Nash in the tailgate who said he's putting that parlay in right now because
because it's college football. Of course it'll happen.
Why not? Of course. Yeah, come
but
on.
It is the ACC, so they'll have everything fall in place that they need to, and then they'll lose to Syracuse in the last game of the season.
Yeah, that's exactly
everything will happen the way that needs to, but then they'll lose.
It'll start with Pitt beating Notre Dame this weekend, but then Miami then also subsequently loses.
The committee really likes the SEC and Big Ten.
Amazing how that works.
14 of the 25 teams.
I don't think that's crazy.
I don't think it's crazy either. I'm just saying.
I mean, just looking at college football and ranking 50 teams every single week, I don't think that's crazy.
Should the ACC have jumped at the 2 auto bid offer when it was given?
Yes. That's what I was shouting from the rooftops when it happened. You know you're going to get screwed. Just know how you're going to get screwed. Take the 2. You can't get screwed with 1. And if there's still an at-large, sure, go ahead. Maybe you get a 3rd every once in a while, but take the guaranteed 2. And I remember saying the same thing to Brett Yormark, and he's out there. We want the best teams in the playoff. Good luck with that.
So we'll sit here in this ACC corner for just a few minutes, hit a break, and then escape from this literal funhouse mirror situation. The teams that are in there, I don't even trust half of them because they're just not playing well right now. Jeff Brom sounds like he doesn't trust his quarterback. Virginia's quarterback got rocked. I mean, I sincerely believe, I sincerely hope that Chandler Morris is going to make a full recovery. But, buddy, I just don't feel confident in either one of those teams to be playing their best football right now.
I don't either.
It's all on you, Georgia Tech.
You know what, though, Chip? You know what the problem is with the ACC? You don't know that they haven't been playing their best football.
I do know that Louisville has played better games than it has played recently.
I'm saying like the Virginias of the world. That just might be who they are.
I'll say this. Rhett Lashley, I think Jeff Brom as well. They haven't been like pounding the table. We're getting screwed. They were all like, we had opportunities to win games in the non-con and we lost them. And that was before Duke lost to UConn. Like there were opportunities and you didn't take advantage of them. What's it? 4-12, 4-13?
It's not good. Yeah. It's something.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, I think that's why they're not. It's hard to say the ACC's getting screwed when you didn't have any success in the non-con and blew a couple games as favorites. It's hard to really pound the table for them.
Yep. Again, you're looking, if you're watching along on youtube.com/cover3, Miami in there at 11. They are 15 in the college football playoff rankings. They are the highest ranked ACC team as of right now, but a reminder that given the current ACC standings and tiebreaker scenarios, the odds do not favor them to be able to even make it to the ACC title game over many other options.
Is there anything that has ever made you realize how pointless these weekly rankings are than that graphic? And
right.
That is the epitome of how pointless all of this is. That Miami is in there as the ACC champion, even though they are the least likely of the 5 ACC teams ranked to win the ACC.
You know what this is going to do? It's going to bring out Danny's dream. No automatic qualifiers.
It might.
1 through 12. I'm tired. Like last year, we were given the fast pass to the 3 and the 4 seed, and it was blowing everybody's minds on Tuesday night. They're like, "Wait, we don't get it. How is that team 17 and now they're the 4? I don't get it. Why are the numbers not the same?" And now some stuff like this, Miami being in the bracket, but also one of the most least likely teams to make it into the bracket from their own conference.
What a system we've created for ourselves.
Listen.
It is fun.
Tom, look around. What's perfect?
Right? It's so great.
I'm not asking for perfection. I'm asking for logic. I'm asking for clarity.
That's too much to ask.
That's too much. All right. Coming up on the other side, we will look ahead as we've got some big games coming up this weekend. What could be the college football playoff impact and more?
Hooks.
Back here on the Cover 3 podcast as we continue to react to the new college football playoff rankings. As we kind of reset, I don't know if you fans at home realize that this happens, but the new playoff rankings kind of reshuffle the way that things look, the way that these games are promoted and discussed. So now it will be number 5, Georgia, taking on number 10, Texas. It will be number 4, Alabama, playing host to number 11, Oklahoma, coming up this weekend. When we look at those two games and when we start to, dive into ahead of what the implications are going to be, are the Oklahoma Sooners playing at Alabama, but then also having games left against Missouri and LSU? Are the Sooners playing for their playoff future right now?
I told you my Miami buddy was going to text. He's like, do you see this? I'm telling you, it's awful confusing.
Very good point by Robert. I'm sorry, Chip. I'll answer your question in a second. I just think there's a very good point in the chat from Robert Michael. Miami can't bitch about being behind Notre Dame when it's ahead of Louisville.
Which beat it.
Yeah.
Right. They need Louisville to lose.
Or else if they get in the same pod,
multiple ACC teams in.
All right, so
but if Louisville lost the ACC championship game, I think that would be another loss, even though it's not fair because you played in the game. I think that would be what would keep it out.
What was your question about Oklahoma?
I think Louisville's going to lose to Clemson on Friday, and we'll be okay there. So for Oklahoma, currently 11, not in the playoff field. If it were to start tomorrow, are they playing for their playoff lives as a 7-2 team in Tuscaloosa? Or is there a path or an outcome where they could lose that game and still play their way in?
I would suggest winning.
Obviously.
I mean, again, I just ask for a system with logic. I think they kind of have to win because if you look at their resume as currently constructed, they get Mizzou and LSU after Alabama. Neither one of those teams is likely to be ranked again.
But they're bowl teams.
Okay. But
better. Hey, listen, start counting up wins against bowl teams in these bloated conferences. Having a couple wins against bowl teams gets you a little bit farther than you might realize.
If they're 6-6.
Well, right now we've already got 6-3 Mizzou. We've got 5.
Mizzou might lose out. They've lost their starting quarterback. LSU's 5-4.
Now you're just making.
They're playing in the SEC, the most difficult conference in the world. They could easily lose out. But the point is, regardless, they have to lose out if Oklahoma beats them. So there's some losses on their resume.
A loss.
And that's not going to boost Oklahoma. Like beating those teams isn't going to do anything for Oklahoma, at least not as far as getting them back into the playoff mix. So then at the end of the year, they would have beaten Michigan, so they need Michigan to win out. Clearly, from the start. That is the first thing they need if they lose. But your losses are to Texas, Oklahoma, and Alabama. Your best win at that point is Michigan or Tennessee, but it'd probably be Michigan because they're very much ahead of Tennessee right now. Is a 9-3 team whose best win is Michigan or Tennessee getting in? I don't think so.
I think that they would have some fairly strong resume metrics that would at least make it easy to make the argument to put them in ahead of a BYU, ahead of a Miami. Those would be the conversations that I think we'd be having. I think that their record strength, I think their strength of schedule, I think all those other things.
What about a 3-loss Texas? Are they getting in ahead of them?
No.
Okay, then. So Oklahoma needs to win.
Yeah, I think their hopes are done if they lose.
You think a 3-loss Oklahoma is cooked?
Yeah.
Yeah, if it's going to be compared to a 3-loss Texas, because odds are Texas is going to lose at least one of their next 3 games.
Texas could lose too.
Texas
could
could
lose
lose
too.
twice.
So they need Michigan to keep winning and Texas to lose twice. But I maintain the thing that they really need to do is beat Alabama.
Yep.
I would agree. Obviously. I mean, you throw that in, you throw that in, you might have wiggle room.
Then you start wondering what happens to Alabama.
What about Georgia and Texas?
I still think it's going to be incredibly hard to get a 3-loss team in. So I think Texas needs to win. Now, granted, it's not impossible. We're seeing all these strength of schedules. Been such a point of contention. They did play Ohio State better than anybody else in the country. So I think the better chance of a 3-loss team probably is Texas, because of that Ohio State loss was so close. It's such a good loss. And it was Arch's first start. You got on the road.
I think Texas, we talked about a 3-loss team making the college football playoff at the beginning of the season. I think we are sitting here on November 11th, and it's either Texas or Oklahoma, and that's it. Those are your only chances.
I would imagine so, yeah.
Yeah.
Can you imagine how insufferable the state of Texas is going to be if Texas, Texas Tech, and Texas A&M all make the playoff?
And North Texas. Don't let.
Oh, God. Wow. If they make up a full third of the field.
The Texas Invitational. Wow.
Play the game at like Lake Travis's stadium.
What was it when we had, oh gosh. Is that Baylor and Houston? Remember the Final Four? Was there a third Texas team that was also in there? Or was it just Baylor and Houston?
I thought it was.
And it was maybe in
You're
Texas.
the basketball guy.
Yeah, no, it's a scramble.
Danny, he's asking us who the Final Four was a couple of years ago.
All right, sort of open table here, Danny. I know that you're going to have your winners and losers coming up on CBS Sports HQ in a little bit. The other places where your eyes go when looking at the new rankings release.
I mean, at least we have a USF ranked. Congrats to the group of 5 for making the board, the big board. You don't have to go NR. It's still a pretty big jump for them, but I do think it's that was the favorite from the odds makers as well. So good on that. I thought that one. Tom and I were talking before you popped in here, though, Chip. I was like, I don't know how much drama there's gonna be. Like, I just don't know how much we're gonna learn and who are the real winners and losers. It's pretty straightforward. Like, you could say the ACC are losers, but they already lost on the field. So, like, we knew they were gonna get dropped. So I don't know. I didn't really see much drama coming in.
It doesn't need to be drama. You can still make observations. Right. I mean, look.
I think this whole exercise is a sham.
Whoa.
There you go.
Whoa. Danny. On Veterans Day.
Oh, that's right.
Did you know that Rich Clark served this nation through 3 wars?
True. That is true.
He was a lieutenant general in the Air Force through the Gulf War.
It's true.
The war in Afghanistan and the Iraq War. And you're going to tell Rich Clark on Veterans Day, on one side, thank you for your service. And on the other side, your process is a sham. This is
I am supporting the troops.
The executive director of the college football playoff is an actual veteran. And on Veterans Day,
I am supporting the troops with my hat. This is a Folds of Honor hat from the tournament yesterday. I had a great time playing golf with some veterans. Heard some great stories, really good times. Do you guys know what the 13 stands for?
I don't.
The stripes.
How many folds are in the folded flag that they give to a
when all the triangles start coming together?
I didn't no idea. I thought it was pretty cool.
There are different places in this great country where to watch the routine and the ritual of the colors is cool. A quiet morning, like sunset at different places. Grow up around some military in this state, so you definitely end up seeing it from time to time.
I love Rich Clark. He is awesome.
Thank you for your service. And Danny continues to hate on Rich Clark on Veterans Day, which boggles the mind. Truly boggles the mind.
You want to get like overly pedantic for a second?
I really think that we're to that point. Yes.
All right, good. Anybody else surprised by Cincinnati being 25?
There was enough shakeup when we were talking about tomorrow's top 25 today that if you just needed to grab some teams, Cincinnati is a perfectly fine 2-loss power conference team.
But given the committee's affinity for the Big Two, you're not surprised there's like not a 3-loss SEC or Big Ten team over there over Cincinnati whose best win is Iowa State?
If Washington's win wasn't to Wisconsin, like if like some of those losses were bad losses. You can't Iowa. I mean, to how soft, I guess the bubble, we would say the true bubble is up there around 10 or 11. But if you were to talk about the fringe of the top 25 as the bubble, the fact that Iowa lost and dropped from 20 to 21 indicates how soft that bubble was.
But like the last we saw Cincinnati, it was losing by 31.
The full body of work ain't.
They should say something that Brennan Sorsby was hurt or something. I need to come up with some excuse to sell.
I mean, I'll say here's the excuse. You had to go to Salt Lake City and play at night, 10:15 Eastern. Like that's the excuse. You had to take on an adverse situation. Whew. Yeah, Tennessee's still hanging on. I don't know, Tom, like who those teams would be if you weren't going to start grab bagging teams from the American. And I just don't think this committee was going to do that.
Well, off the top of my head, I know a 3-loss team from the Big Ten who has a better strength of record and a top 10 strength of schedule.
Oh, that would be the Illinois Fighting Illini.
Mm-hmm.
Just take that chip on the shoulder into Texas Tech tonight.
But also, like my point, like you might mention that Illinois, its losses have been by a lot of points. I just mentioned how much was Cincinnati's last loss by?
I didn't mention Illinois.
No, I'm saying that's the pushback on Illinois. But Cincinnati's coming off of a 31-point loss.
Right.
I mean, Illinois beat USC. Like that's
53-31.
Yeah. And Illinois has a win over a ranked team.
And better strength of schedule, strength of record. You're right.
Yeah. I
know.
But that's fine. We'll just take it out on Texas Tech, like you said.
The real question is, do you think that's more of a Mark D'Antonio thing, or do you think that's more of like is that more of like a Jeff Long thing?
No, it's Jeff Long. Mark D'Antonio would definitely be all for Illinois.
Like, which of those committee members, like, is it the sitting athletics director at Baylor, Arkansas, Nebraska, Virginia, Miami, Ohio, or Middle Tennessee who would take it out on Illinois? Or do you think it would be Jeff Long, who obviously, Arkansas, Kansas, Wesley Walls, the Ole Miss legend and Carolina Panthers legend, Ivan Maisel, maybe he didn't have a good relationship with somebody at Illinois back in the day. Mark D'Antonio, you say, is probably not it. Mike Riley had a horrible time in the Big Ten.
He did.
He did not enjoy that. And then I don't think it'd be Chris Ault. Chris Ault's a man of stature here because
he's all to the earth.
Yeah. Important to remember that these committee rankings are being put together by humans with a veteran leading the way.
And also shout out to the committee for working on a holiday.
Jeez. Yeah.
Who does that?
Right?
Imagine having to work on a holiday. Wow.
Yeah. That's great stuff. Mac Rhodes, Hunter Yurachek, Troy
a lot of people out there with reasons.
Carla Williams. A
lot of people.
They're doing a good job.
Mm-hmm.
They're doing a great job. Okay. Last call here. Anything else? We'll turn our attention to big game breakdown. That's it. Yeah, that's it. All right. We will be back Wednesday, 11 a.m. Eastern time to be able to get you set for week 12 going inside the matchup. Yeah, the best bets are going to be coming on Thursday, but we want to go under the hood for Georgia, Texas, for Alabama, Oklahoma, and the rest of the week 12 slate. So we'll let you know. Plus, day trading Danny and more. And you can follow him on Twitter at Tom Fidel. You can follow him at Danny Cannell. You can follow me at Chip_Patterson. Gentlemen, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
See ya.